Black Ops Narrative, Season 2, Act 25, Keller. The name didn't feel like a person. It felt like a file. Keller. Torres said it again later, testing the syllables like he was checking the weight of a magazine. That's just a name. It's the kind of name that signs things, Cruz replied. Bishop didn't add anything. He stood at the window and watched the streets the way the sniper watched weather, patient, precise, already modeling what moves wrong. Lena stared at the text on her phone as if it had residue on the glass. Reyes didn't like what the name did to the room. A name didn't just identify, a name organized. They had been fighting a structure with no face, no voice. You couldn't locate. No throat you could close. Now the structure had offered a coordinate, a place, a surname, not drama, administration. That made it worse. They didn't go to San Cordova, not yet. They didn't run toward the hook like hungry dogs. They ran verification because they said they would, and because doctrine only matters when it costs you something. Lena pulled every thread she could without touching a flag channel. Payment chains, contract residue, shipping updates that didn't align with weather, the sort of information that didn't scream but bled. Bishop watched for surveillance changes, cars that repeated, pedestrians that didn't have destinations, a light that stayed green too long like someone had tuned the city. Cruz rebuilt their exit routes like he has designed a fire escape for a building like under construction. Torres cleaned his weapon in a silence that was calm. It was restraint. Reyes sat with his hands still long enough to notice an inch of a flaw. Control as armor, 10-minute holds, 2-key rule, don't feed reflex. He repeated it internally like a prayer he didn't believe in but needed it anyway. At 1800, Lena looked up from a screen. I found Keller, she said. Torres leaned forward, like, found? Lena nodded once, not a face, a function. She turned the laptop toward them. A procedurement memo, 2 pages, bland, front, no insignia, the kind of document that killed people without using a verb, like kill. Reassignment, San Cordova. Stability oversight. Signatory, Keller. Authority, emergency compliance framework. Effective, immediate. Cruz read it twice. Like not a man, that's a lever. Bishop's voice came quiet. It's a hand. Lena scrolled lower. A logistics audit, a route inspection schedule. The inspection times lined up with the known disruptions. Ship delays, port strikes, PMCs rotating into security assistant roles, and one line that looked harmless until you knew what it meant. Emergency port closure clause, pre-authorized. Reyes stared at the signature block. Keller. A person-shaped stamp. Not the whole consortium. An interface. A chair you would sit in or be sat in. Lena closed the laptop. It's not an annex. It's a ghost building. Still under state control. But the chain of custody is creative. Torres snorted. So it's a conference room for monsters. Reyes stood. He didn't speak right away. He could feel the team waiting for gravity. That was the danger and the comfort of him. He looked at Lena. 2 keys, he said. Lena held his glaze. Confirmed. Reyes nodded. We go. San Cordova at night didn't look like a war zone. It looked like a place that had learned how to hold its breath. The city was lit and functioning, just like a movie set built a few inches off true. Too many quiet streets, too many guards standing still, too many random checkpoints that didn't have boredom of real work. They crossed the paper first. IDs, pretexts, routes that were more plausible than clean. Then they crossed physically through a corridor of a warehouse and an official fence where the ocean air fueled and salt and something faintly metallic. An old ministry annex sat behind the line in the palms that didn't belong there. The landscaping meant implied legacy. The building itself was boxed of concrete and glass, dark, except for the one floor where the light burned like someone was working late for the love of it. Reyes didn't like the light at night. Lights were careless or performance, and carelessness didn't survive in systems like this. Bishop took overwatch from a half-collapsed parking structure across the street. Crews ran the perimeter like a rumor. Tourists stayed close, heavy presence, eyes scanning angles for movement that wanted to be seen. Lena and Reyes approached the front entrance. No guards, no cameras, obvious enough to offend Bishop. No friction. Reyes' jaws locked, clean again. Inside the lobby was silent. Marble floors with hairline cracks. A government seal on the wall, faded like a state itself had eroded quietly. An elevator waiting for its doors to open, not broken, inviting. Crew's voice in Reyes' ears, this is staged. Bishop, they're not stopping you, they're cataloging you. We're walking into a file cabinet. Reyes looked at Lena. She didn't look afraid, she looked angry. Anger was better. Anger kept you human. Confirmed, Reyes murmured. Lena nodded once. Confirmed. They entered the elevator anyway. The door slid shut. The elevator rose without any button being pressed. Lena watched the panel. We didn't select the floor. Reyes' voice stayed flat. They did. The elevator opened on the 6th floor. A hallway dimly lit with carpet so clean it looked new. At the end of the conference room with the single door slightly open as if someone had stood out to let them know they can arrive. Reyes didn't like open doors. Open doors were staging. They moved like a threshold. Inside the room was bright. A long table, water pinchers, folders, a line. One chair pulled out slightly as if someone had just stood up. And at the end of the table, near the window, a man stood up with his back to them, looking out the harbor like it belonged to him. Not tall, not intimidating, just placed. He turned slowly, no mask, no theatrics, a mid-50s face with the calm of someone who had never been rushed. White shirt, sleeve buttoned to his wrist, no tie, no jacket, the kind of outfit people wore when they just wanted to look like they were doing their job. His eyes moved at Lena first, then Reyes, then briefly to Reyes' ears, not obvious, just enough, a glance that said, I know you're not alone. He smiled once, not friendly, acknowledging. Mr. Reyes, he said. His voice wasn't distorted. It wasn't dramatic. It was the voice from the phone. Calm, ledger, tone. Lena's chin lifted slightly. She didn't hide it. Reyes didn't move. Keller, Reyes said. Keller nodded, as if confirming a label. Yes. Torres' voice came through the comms, low and tight. You got eyes on him? Bishop, I see him. Cruz, I can cut the lights. Reyes didn't answer any of them. This room was measurement. Every word was a data point. Keller gestured 2 chairs on the near side of the table. Please, he said, sit. You travel. Lena didn't sit. Reyes didn't sit. Keller didn't seem offended. He moved to the table and placed 2 folders down. One in front of where Reyes would sit and one where Lena would sit. He didn't slide them dramatically. He sat them like paperwork. Your courier died, Reyes said. Keller's expression didn't change. Correct? You killed him, Reyes said. Keller nodded once, still calm. Messengers create uncertainty. Lena's eyes tightened. Anger, control, like a blade kept in stealth. Reyes watched Keller carefully, not for malice, for the shape of his certainty. What is this? Reyes asked, nodding at the folder. Keller opened his hands. Options. Reyes' jaw locked. Options aren't usually delivered by people who kill messengers. Keller smiled, faint. People confuse violence with chaos. Violence is often clarifying. Lena spoke, voice steady. Why are you doing this now? Keller looked at her like she had asked only serious question in the room. Because anonymity stopped working, Keller said. You force visibility. Visibility has a cost. This is the cost. Reyes kept his voice flat. You're the consortium leader? Keller's eyes flickered in amusement without warmth. No, don't mythologize this infrastructure. He tapped the table lightly, one finger, one beat. I am a function that becomes necessary. The war system you disrupted predicted compliance. It assumed tolerance. You didn't behave with them. Keller's eyes moved to Reyes. You didn't. Then to Lena. And you won't. Keller's gaze hardened slightly, so we adjusted. Lena's voice stayed calm. Adjusted how? Keller nodded at the folder. By replacing predictions with procedure. Reyes didn't touch the folder. Procedure? Reyes repeated. Keller nodded. Meetings, directives, reassignments. A pause. Then quiet and cold, sanctions, port closures, security charters, emergency clauses. A faint smile. I don't need drones, I need forms. Reyes felt the impulse, tightening. Decide, move, rise like a reflex. 10 minutes, hold, 2 key. He didn't speak yet. Lena did. What's in the folder, she asked. Keller's eyes softened in a way that wasn't kindness. It was patience. One folder is the world where you keep your people, Keller said, looking at Reyes. Then he looked at Lena. The other folder is the world where you keep your ethics. The room went colder. Torres' voice barely contained. That's the line. Bishop, calm. He's recreating the phone call in person. He wants you to choose. Reyes stared at Keller. Keller held his glaze without effort. Reyes spoke carefully. You're offering me a trap? And calling it a choice? Keller's head tilted slightly. All choices are traps. A beat. Not choosing is also a signature. Lena's eyes didn't leave Keller. You said you weren't the leader. Keller nodded. I'm not. Then who is? Lena asked. Keller smiled faintly. That question is expensive. Reyes watched him. Name your price. Keller glazed, went to the window, then back. The price is not money. The price is obedience. Reyes' jaws clenched. Keller continued, voice mild. You don't have the habit of confusing responsibility with authority. It's an attractive flaw. It makes you predictable under stress. Reyes didn't react outwardly. Inside, something tightened. Keller turned to Lena. And you have a habit of believing harm can be minimized through intervention. That's also attractive. Lena's expression didn't change, but her breathing did. One shallow inhale, then control. Keller's eyes moved between them like he was reading the ledger of 2 columns. Together, he said, you are a problem. Reyes heard Torres rage through calms like heat. Bishop's calm voice cut through it. Reyes, 2 key. Reyes swallowed up the urge to speak first. He looked at Lena. She looked back. No romance, no softness, just alignment under pressure. Keller watched the exchange with clinical interest. He wanted it. He wanted them to fracture. Reyes spoke anyway, slow, measured. We didn't choose it in this room. Keller nodded as if he'd expect the line. Of course. You don't. You choose outside. A pause. Then that's where it hurts more. He slid a small card across the table. No flourish. Just frictionless. Paper on wood. Time, Keller said. He slid another card. Place. Then a third card. A single word printed in the same ledger font. Heart. Lena's eyes snapped to the card. Reyes' jaw locked so hard it ached. Keller's voice remained calm. You wanted direction, he said. Direct is simple. Mr. Hart has been reassigned. Reyes stared at him. Reassigned where? Keller didn't blink. To an incident, ownership. Torres' voice came through. That's murder with paperwork. Keller looked toward the air again, as if listening to nothing. Mr. Hart will be blamed, Keller said, and then He'll be removed as a variable. Lena's voice went sharp. Control. Why tell us? Answer was immediate. Because if you move to save him, I learn your priority. He looked at Reyes, your people. Then he looked at Lena. If you advise restraint, I learn yours. He spread with his hand slightly, like presenting a simple question. Either way, he said, observation continues. Reyes felt the 10-minute hold like a rope around his throat. Reflexes kills everyone. 10 minutes only kills you. He could hear his team breathing through the comms, waiting for the gravity. He could feel the room waiting for him to become predictable. Keller stood again, smooth and unhurried. I'll leave you, he said. You'll think better without me as an audience. He walked towards the door. As he passed Lena, he paused, just long enough to make the air tense. Not a threat, but a reminder of proximity. Then he opened the door and stepped out. The lights didn't flicker, nothing exploded, no guards rushed in, because the point was the choice, now, sitting in the room with them. 3 cards on the table, time, place, heart. Reyes looked at Lena. He started to speak. Control impulses, plan forming, gravity returning. Lena lifted her hand, not rude, just decisive. Hold, she said. Reyes' jaw flexed. Heart? 10 minutes, Lena replied, voice steady. To key. Torres' voice came through the comms, raw. 10 minutes gets heart killed. Bishop, reflex gets you all killed. Cruz, you want to beat procedure? Then obey yours. Reyes stared at the cards. The war was trying to make him break his own doctrine in a room that recorded silence, even when it looked empty. He looked at Lena again. Her expression didn't soften, but her eyes did something else. They promised that she wasn't using the rule to control them. She was using it to keep them from being steered. Reyes lifted his hand, slow, and placed it flat on the table. Then deliberate, he pulled back. 1 inch, 2. Like he was physically withdrawn from the impulse to grab. He exhaled, slow, controlled, like letting go of a weapon he loved so much. 10 minutes, he said. And for the first time since exposure, he didn't move first.